Once the Spanish conquered the Mexica and reorganized their lands into New Spain, or Mexico, what came next? This story is incomplete without explaining the role of conquistador. In essence, the Spanish defeated the Aztecs with an army of essentially military entrepreneurs. A conquistador, literally conqueror, was essentially licensed by the crown to go into a particular region and attempt to seize it on behalf of the king and crown. The Spanish government received a cut, a portion of everything captured. Usually this was 20%, or the royal quinto, while the conquistador kept the rest. Aspiring conquistadors needed to round up a good horse, some decent weapons and armor, and go to work as a professional military contractor. Ships full of young men seeking fame and fortune, or others hoping to build their reputation in this strange land, made the journey. Whatever was conquered, whatever was explored, the conquistador could make a claim on it, and with royal permission, set up shop, take what they could, make their fortune as they would, and look forward to a day when they returned home a hero and retired in their familiar and beloved España. The New World was alien and strange, and many had wives, families, and homes back in Spain. Even so, the Americas were a great place to make a fortune in a hurry, provided a person had guts, ambition, and a little luck. After the fall of Mexico, many adventurers hoped to find another Mexico, un otro Mexico. First, though, would-be conquistadors needed a license from the crown. This would permit the adventurer to conduct an entrada, literally permission to enter realms not yet claimed. Some, including Francisco Pizarro, headed into South America and Peru. Others headed north into what everybody referred to as the Great Northern Mystery. Spanish sailors talked about what they'd seen along the coast, including a few encounters with some coastal natives that hinted at wealth among the kingdoms of the interior. Several people applied for entradas into the north. One of them, Ponce de Leon, claimed that he'd found the fountain of youth in what is present-day Florida. Believing this claim, Pánfilo de Narváez, who had been edged out of the great score in Mexico, was ready to head north and make a name for himself in this new region. Supply ships were blown onto shore by a hurricane. The native peoples, now wise to the threat the Spanish posed, were particularly hostile everywhere Narváez landed. He made his way along the coast of present-day Florida and Alabama, but his men finally had all they could stand, and they rebelled. Narváez no longer had boats, so the men slaughtered their horses and used their hides to craft leather boats, essentially little tubs of waterproof leather that carried the failed conquistadors out into the Gulf of Mexico. They hoped to float all the way back to Mexico and friendlier shores, but it would be a brutal journey. Somewhere near the Texas coast, the men finished off Narváez. Assassins cut the anchor ropes holding his boat close to shore, and he drifted off overnight into the vast Gulf of Mexico, floating into history and oblivion. The survivors did not fare much better. Most of their boats failed, and the lucky ones wound up as castaways on Galveston Island. There they encountered local peoples, which took the pitiful survivors away as slaves. Of the dozens of shipwrecked men, only 4 emerged a few years later to tell the tale.